Hey guys, my name is Nick, and I really love card games. Specifically, right now, I'm really loving Azuki trading card game. This game is really addictive, and I've been playing it since Alpha kind of dropped, and I know quite a few other people have as well. And I kind of want to just take a minute and discuss now that we're coming out of the wake of the Invitational, dust is kind of settling. I wanted to go through what my my funnest deck, which is still a good deck that I've built over this time that I do think is actually really quite good. I do think just the meta right now is so aggressive and consistent within that aggression in decks like Fire and Lightning that Water kind of has to really high roll a bit harder than your opponent in order to kind of feel maybe equally as confident. But with that being said, if you get the cards that you need, it's kind of hard for anyone to take over because Water has like a very interesting game plan, at least within this deck. Because Water is not like Lightning, where it feels maybe very linear with how you might want to play it now. Lightning has so many other tools, but when you think about your average Lightning deck right now, it's probably centralized to a pretty normal core. Whereas with Water, you can do really anything you want with it. Some things might not be as good as others, just like what you would do with any deck. But Water has such good versatility in what its gate is doing that which is it allows you to bounce back EKZ based off of the gate power of the unit you just gated in, which is bonkers busted, right? For value, I'm hard pressed even thinking any other gate is as good as that. That's just my own opinion. I love getting cash back on my plays so that I can make more plays. And so, with that in mind, we kind of want to double down on that within our aggression and knowing it's an aggressive meta, we want to outpace kind of what the enemy wants to do. But we do it from the perspective of going as wide as possible on the board, not so much hitting the highest number we can to face every turn, but playing that chess game of like what the board is going to look like, thinking, multiple turns ahead, which you probably would with any deck. But with Water, it feels probably really punishing. If you make just ever the so slight wrong step, and that might have consequences. But it is so rewarding when things come together, and the deck building really feels good when you're working out of Water. So I just want to jump right into it. Getting into I'm going to go through the cards. I'm going to go through my experiences with matchups. But I think it's really important to run all the searchers in Water. Ito is a given. I don't think anyone would not run for Ito. It's pretty mandatory because he searches a water crafting, and regardless of how you probably have your water deck tuned, you have probably a lot of these targets. Mirage Frog is a water crafting. Fumiko is a water crafting. Your responses are water crafting. And then if you tech this this dude, he's also a water crafting, which is honestly one of the reasons why I am teching him, and we'll get into that. But this guy searches the things you need to win against specific matchups, like especially Fire. You're really happy to see this guy, if not actually a Mirage Frog, because this is how you own the board early. Because Fire has crazy potential and damage they can do just on turn two. So if you're able to just start bouncing their stuff back before they can start laying that damage, you might be able to coast on like 18 or 20 up until their potential Scarlet turn or first Fire Orb or what have you. But you're really happy to see this guy. Mizuto, you're honestly really happy to see this guy too, because the name of the game turn one is to get the bodies out there and get them out there in a way that doesn't just automatically drain your hand to zero. So some people might see Mizuto and think they might want to run it because the math is kind of rough on how often you're going to hit with it, which is very true. But I think more importantly, the magnitude of importance on the cards you can hit with it are like out of this world. Excuse me, Crab being Driftward and Serene Fist being Driftward. So I'm pretty sure these like the only eight. You got 8 targets in the deck, but these are so paramount for the matches that you actually need them, and you're gonna need Crab probably most games. Any game against Lightning, you're gonna need this guy. It's gonna be how you take the game back. And against Fire, this guy is really important if they have a potential Daiki. This Scarlet gets under this, but it's kind of awkward with when you're dealing with Fire because you might play a Crab knowing they're going to play Scarlet eventually, but if you don't play around the Tenmoku Daiki on 4, it's almost an instant GG if they get away with that for free, because Water at that point usually isn't pushing enough damage for them to feel bad about taking the 4 to face. So these searches are actually really important. to have in your hand, especially at early game, even mid to late game, so you can find these tools when they actually matter the most, even the really late body. But being able to play them out for one and then gate them in and get the one IKZ back is just is how water can hang with the big boys right now, because the dream, right, is you're playing either one of these guys, you're gating them in, and then you're dropping an array with it. And so your turn two, you're positioned to have potentially 4 units on board because you just got two out there. Turn two, you have two IKZ. That could be a frog plus a one drop, which you're okay to do against fire because you won't have any IKZ up if you do these. But fire's not going to really be able to charge you at all in turn three, so you're okay if you're bouncing the only threat. Or if they just have a. Oops. Whoopsie. If they just have a 1/1, then it's totally okay to just take the one to face because fire's not going to be able to ping the 1/1's health to come at you like with a really really big swing. So you're okay to just drop this and then drop this. That's four on board turn two, or crab if you want to set it up early because turn three you're not going to expect the threat from fire, but you're expecting it four. And so if you have an opportunity to play him down on two with the backup of a one body, or maybe just play him down and keep one up so that you can nerf the next attack coming to you, then at least you got him on board. It does feel pretty bad doing this on two because you're not establishing a whole lot of pressure. You don't know when you're actually going to use the crab. I really don't like doing this specific play on two. I think the dream is get them having a good Mirage Frog target that you just bounce back. I'll bounce back a one drop Seer or a one drop Fanatic Kindler, especially against fire, because that swing is going to be honestly pretty dangerous when they actually do attack with it. So I mean, this is really really important, and that's kind of why feels it feels a little interesting in the sense of how you want to think about your mulligan mentality. You don't really want to mulligan for a foam bat crab going into fire. You're pretty happy to see it no matter what into lightning. You just want to make sure you set it up on a turn that you didn't waste that turn doing it. That could have been really good tempo otherwise. Honestly, even a serene fist on two can be pretty good if they're not showing a pretty big threat that's going to give you big damage on the clapback. But Ray is so moving forward. Ray is really honestly really good right now. Being able to throw down a 1/2 for one into so many things that could deal with, or any one damage pings that exist in cards. It's pretty stellar, and Water gets to do it as a combo. You're not just playing her for one, you're playing her for zero because you got it back with one of the one drops. Title insight's really really important because you're able to fix, not just search top three for literally any water. You're not limited to archetypes, but you're able to fix your deck on top or bottom. So, which is such a good asset that's actually probably extremely rare to find. And being able to do this has so many good implications in water. I don't think I normally ever play this turn one or two unless I absolutely have to. I want to be developing the tempo. If I mold into a brick and this is my turn one, then so be it. But I really want to be able to play this late game to find the card I need to continue to live to then win. Like if I'm able to search out later the crab that was 3 cards deep, knowing I'm going into a potential Ikazuchi turn with Ryzen, then this card saved my skin so many times. Even better, if you're on 6 IKZ, you can use this to fix your deck for Mizuki, so you can look for the units that Mizuki's compatible with, and then fix them on your deck if there actually is one appropriate target, and if not, you just bottom them, so you get like kind of 2 chances to hit with Mizuki. Waterworm, this is your Scarlet answer. I was running this at 4 for a minute, but it's very searchable, and you stay having a leader that can kind of shanks. I'm on the fence about this being 2 or 4. It's just space is an issue, but the only reason why I would have this wider is so that I am prepared for Scarlet. It feels like it's the scariest thing to deal with water when you're playing into fire. But otherwise, this helps your opponent just make unfavorable trades. You're always going to kind of have one up because you have leader, so they will play into this more often than maybe like a lightning orb, because why would Ryzen ever leave one up? Shao can always respond natively with leader, so you're able to bait a lot of things by leaving one up. Commune with Water is actually so good when it hits, but it can be such a whiff when it's too late to not matter, or if you're playing into a matchup where they don't even play a good enough target for you to bounce this back on, or if your curve wasn't so favorable that you can't just leave 2 up to use this without just giving up board. which is your absolute priority, right? So thinking about Commune with Water, I run it at 1 because it is searchable. It keeps my opponent on their toes, especially if you're playing in an event where people might be able to see your deck list. If they know that this is in your deck, then whereas if they know that it's not in your deck, they would never have to worry about it. You can keep 2 up to fake the water orb plus leader, but really you actually have Commune with Water. Plus, if you just straight up search it, you're living in their head rent free. If they know you got a Commune with Water, they're going to be making really awkward plays to try to play around it, and sometimes they might not have a good line to get them around with Commune with Water within time for you to just win the game. So I know we already hit on Foamback Crab. This guy is just the stone cold truth against Ryzen. You keep him up. You play him when you can get away with it, and you just keep him for the big swings. A really big crossroads here is you block the Indra with this guy, because a lot of times when they'll throw out an Indra, they'll throw the tension on leader. So it's kind of questionable whether or not you actually want to block this if the damage is so spread. And so then it becomes a question like, if the Indra is swinging 3 and the tension's coming at me for 2 post ping, then I might be inclined to leader the tension and block the Indra, unless they might have an Ikazuchi Engrave, because next turn is 6, they could be getting up a 4 swing minimum. Or if I'm pretty scared if they're just top end in general and I don't have another crab, those are the games you kind of need to be greedy about only blocking something that might be a 4 plus, because you just might not win otherwise. But when you do those things, you kind of get in the situation where you're actually worried about tension pings late game, because you might be winning on 3 or 4 health, but there's couriers, there's just tension straight up, there's multiple copies of Indra that can just keep bringing back tension, even Alpine Prowler, right? So all those pings do actually add up over time. It does get scary. Mirage Frog, this is how you win fire when you're able to win it. You know, you bounce their stuff early, suddenly you got a board of 5, they've got nothing, you're at 20, and it's turn 4. And then somehow they find a way to get you down to 6 in 2 turns anyways. But this card is so good. The thought of discarding one to give your opponent one more card in their hand objectively might just feel awkward, but that one card in their hand is a form of removal. And a lot of times I don't care that the Seer or the Enraged Howler is in their hands. It doesn't have charge. It's just going to be another turn they're going to have to waste to play it. And then that's 2 IKZ that could have gone to burn or more board control or even face damage or attention that they just can't play to play the turn that um, that I threw away for them by frogging it back to their hand. Serene Fist, this card should not be slept on. I think this card is really, really good. It's why I think the Ryzen matchup's pretty good. Pretty handleable, right? Like Haruhi can't kill this. They can't Ikazuchi this. This thing is so sticky. And when you have a leader ability that acts as like an impromptu Shanks that can just nerf attacks, this girl is really, really sticky. Ryzen's big swings are usually going to be on a single unit that's really strong that they don't want to give up to trade into Serene Fist unless they're able to spread out their damage. But even spreading out their damage, they have to come at Serene with 2 plus, unless you have a Water Orb, then 3 plus, or 4 plus if you have a Water Orb plus IKZ and you want to give them a super unfavorable trade. This character is very sticky. The health might as well say infinite against spells. And it's how you're able to really outpace the Ryzen. You keep getting those 2 swings and they really, really add up. Tension is just such a good card. Deal 3 for 2. It's how you win the games when you go down to like 1 turn diff on lethal. You're able to just tension them down. There's so many times that this actually was the difference. I would feel like I'm running with scissors if this wasn't in the deck. Fumiko is one of the main reasons why I like to run water. This card is so fun to play. The amount of combinations you can do, just foreshadowing from everything we've talked about. You run the suite of really good 2-drops, and so you're able to Fumiko bounce anything you want, and then literally just play down something for free that could have had 0 gate power. So you don't care about the 0 gate power because Fumiko's cheating it out to your Guardian for free, and you're able to gate her in and get 1 back anyways. So a lot of times you have the 1/1 spams, and then when you get to 3, you bounce one of your 1/1s, you throw down a Serene Fist, you gate in Fumiko, you get 1 back, and then you can drop down the 1/1 you just bounced for another search, or keep it up for a leader if you're trying to anticipate what the race might be like for lethal. This card is so good. It's kind of the connector between your early game. It is literally the connector between your early game and late game. It is one of the best mid games you could probably ever ask for. and it's wild to think turn 3 being mid game right now, but that is kind of just how it feels. Uh, Mizuru's Torrent, this card objectively, I feel like it's just it feels like one of the strongest cards printed. Just the problem is it's hard to get gate value when you're playing this as early as you might want to get the most value out of it, unless you were able to stall with something in the alley, which you wouldn't have done by turn 4 anyways. But if you're playing this after a Mizuki turn, you might have something in the alley since you gated up Mizuki that you can play Torrent and then get your alley back up so that you actually still get a gate that turn to play something else. But when you're able to actually just play this and not give up your whole turn, or you still have a board, and you're healthy enough to play this and not keep IKZ up to protect yourself from the clapback, this is the pivotal card. This is so pivotal. It keeps people in, if nothing else, it'll keep people in check from overextending. They have to think about the torrent. They have to play around with the torrent at least to a degree, or else it's one card that just nukes their whole game. Mizuki is so good. Mizuki is such a good card. I love it. I would never take it down from 4. The 3/4 stat lineup is so busted in the sense that it is really, really hard to remove. It is so much harder to remove than a 3/3. 3/3s are much, much, much easier to remove. And she can just keep clearing things each time it's your turn. They want to turn anything sideways. Mizuki can usually handle it no problem. They have to do a lot to get rid of this, or they have to give up some pretty gnarly burn that would have gone to your face to get rid of this, in which case you might be able to just play another one anyways. From a lot of the, maybe if you're able to fix or search previously and you have multiple Mizukis, because our five slot is a bit thick with 4 of these in one trade guild. Trade Guild is so good in water, but it is so often now that this card just dies, is dead on arrival. It is on site with this card. Whenever it comes up into the garden and I end my turn, whatever they were saving for face, they usually use it to kill my Trade Guild pretty quickly if it's a removal spell or whatever they might have. And then if not, this card does put in a lot of work. It is really pivotal when it's able to do what it wants to do, but it feels so risky playing this for 5. If I play this for 5, gated it in, and then I end my turn and they're able to remove it, and this was my boss monster for mid/late game, then I feel like I'm in a really bad spot. But Mizuki is so much more stickier. They have to give up way too many resources to get rid of it. In which case, if they do, you might even be happy about that because she absorbed a lot. Plus, Mizuki is able to do so many things that we're able to talk about with Title Insight. Like you find a Mizuki, you grab something like a Foam Bat Crab. You might want to put it in the alley. You might want to even grab in your hand with her 2 gate power. Even playing on this on 5, you can obviously just drop the crab right behind her on gate if you know you're going into a swing so bad that just keeping leader up isn't going to be worth it. But noting that she's on 5 and Scarlet's on 5, there's a lot of times against fire. If I find a crab, if I put it in my hand or if I put it in the alley, I'm not gonna prioritize having it in the garden, because if I end my turn with 0 IKZ up because I wanted to play Mizuki to the full ceiling, I might get Scarleted for the full 7. And that really, really, really sucks. You got to be very careful. You can't be like Icarus, flying too close to the sun when you're thinking about your Mizuki plays. But she is able to help keep your tempo double down to pretty soon win the game a little bit after you play her, because your board will be so far developed. Now these 2 are really just text for Earth. Pulled under is Gum Gum Red Rock for really most any threat. It doesn't hit the Serpent, which really sucks for water, but this does hit the Sand Ancient, which allows you to continue pushing lethal, which is where things like tension might be really, really important. And Fistmaster is also a good tool for Earth. This card is the spice, I think. I don't know how relevant it is in a vacuum right now, given how quick the meta is, but if you're concerned about running into Earth, which if you're playing water, you very likely are, this is a card that makes you feel a little less concerned, a little more comfier into that matchup. This is a threat that can kind of hang with the big boys once you get down to late game with Earth, which you will always go late game with Earth. But the in-alley only ability is actually really interesting. When you see Mizuru's Torrent cost 4, this is literally Mizuru's Torrent if you want it to be, but you're paying 7 to do it, which is really, really rough. But it is a nuclear option that exists, meaning it's not the reason it's even in the deck. It's in the deck because it's a 7 cost 5/5 that gives me 3 cash back. If I play this on 7, even if I'm slow rolling against against Horizon or something, there's been times that this actually has been relevant. I'm able to play it on 7, bounce my 3 back. I can play a crab directly into Garden, and I still have 1 up. Like, this guy is so cool for how consistent he actually can be, even with few copies, since he's searchable. So it just makes the Edo stocks go up even higher. But we're only at 1 each because Earth isn't too fat in the field right now. But I do think moving forward, Earth will be quite a threat to contend with. And with that being said, these kind of top ends might go wider. Probably minimum 2 pulled under, maybe 2 of these as well, just to really help with that matchup further. And you might want to tailor, how you're thinking about that early game aggression if we do go into a Earth prevalent meta, if that is what happens, moving into further into set 1. But overall matchups, Earth is probably your hardest thing to deal with. You kind of really want to be able to push lethal going into their taunt turn in Red Rocket, or pull it under so that you can continue pushing. It just feels bad bouncing things against Earth because Earth has really good searchers. A lot of things that you can bounce might have actually been a searcher. If you bounce it, you give them another defender anyways. So that it's hard to progress the board state. You're not really bouncing it because you're scared of it. You're not really scared of the defender. You usually bounce something because you're scared of what it can do to your board. Whereas Earth is just, it's not trying to threaten your board. It's just trying to, you know, um, it's just trying to shelter up until the end game so that it can actually live. So a lot of your good cards in other matchups become kind of mid, I feel like, in Earth. But I'm interested to see how this develops as I get more reps in. There just isn't a lot of Earth in the field, so a lot of that is theoretical, but I can't say from my experience it's hard, at least with this build, to go into Earth. But I hope this was helpful for anyone, or if nothing else, I'm really thankful that you listened to me vent about uh, my favorite deck in what is a very fun game right now. But it is my goal, again, moving forward. I want to be able to probably record some games with some of my friends that we play together in the Discord, where we're practicing. I encourage anyone who actually wants to learn about this game to join the Discord for a Zuki trading card game. People in there are really, really happy to help. But again, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.